of BlazeMeter. I won't go to the full extent of what BlazeMeter does. Uh, I won't go into the hands-on coding that we generally do when there's a lot of attendance. But what I will try to cover is what BlazeMeter actually as a tool is and what it is capable of, and also the pending portion from our last session on the performance test run side as well.
Understood. So I'll leave the floor for you to get started. At least we five of us can learn from you. Please go ahead.
No worries. So I just want to understand from you guys, what are you trying to achieve when you look at the performance tools, right? Specific questions to Nadia and James. What are you trying to gain as an understanding from BlazeMeter? I mean, what do you expect BlazeMeter to do?
I actually worked with JMeter for some time, and we use it on a regular basis. Like whenever there is a release or a push to production, we try to perform mini performance tests to make sure that nothing has been affecting the production. But sometimes, like trying to test the login feature, especially at times when we are releasing a new service and we're expecting a lot of audience to be on the web application. Like sometimes we do expect, let's say, above 1,000 people visiting a site. So here's where JMeter will be limited, and then you can probably take these tests and run them on the BlazeMeter. I haven't been on the BlazeMeter that much.
So why do you say JMeter is limited? Is it because of the infrastructure that you're running on, or is it because of the JMeter, how JMeter spins or orchestrates this test itself?
So from what I found out, based on my experience and from what I've been reading, JMeter is limited on number of threads that you can actually use to run a test. Like it probably goes up to 250, 300. But if you're looking for larger threads, then you should probably start looking to a different tool.
Right.
Right. But I think with BlazeMeter, you can probably take the tests which you already have and ask them to, put the large number of users that you're looking for.
So when I use BlazeMeter, right? So when let's say I want to run 1,000 users, right? I don't spend more than 100 threads on JMeter, right? I configure my test. I don't use the ramp up, ramp down capability of JMeter, or even I won't be using it for BlazeMeter, but I will kind of wrap that functionality within the JMeter script itself, right? Now, the idea is, I'll tell you what the idea is. The more threads you spin, the more resources it will take. That's why it's limiting. It's not limiting on if JMeter is able to spin 1,000 threads, it will, but do you have the infrastructure to support 1,000 threads, right?
Yeah.
Now, the limiting part is that to get those kind of server capability is very hard to get specific to, because you will be running only on uh, transient environments because you're not running it all the time, right? Uh, the idea is that because either so the threading is possible in multiple ways. BlazeMeter does have capability to improve that threading, which JMeter does not because it requires a lot of custom code. The good part about BlazeMeter is that it's going to run it on its own cloud, on its own infrastructure, right? So the limited capabilities of infrastructure that you are facing right now will not come with BlazeMeter because it will run on its own infrastructure, right?
Okay.
The second part is because you're running so many threads, BlazeMeter will not be that cheap, right? So you might have to pitch a cost factor to your organization saying that do you approve this cost, and if so the first analysis that I will do is I will probably go to my org and ask them what's the cost of current running and setting up this infrastructure for a 1,000 user run, and do the same cost analysis with BlazeMeter, right? So you'll be able to uh, come out with an analysis that makes sense to the business to get the BlazeMeter approved. Is it approved by your organization? Do you currently have BlazeMeter?
No, so we're currently just using the JMeter as an open source, and it's used
Right,
by few teams, not all the teams. We got multiple teams.
right,
But there's an appetite. I mean, there's a lot of interest in it. It's just that they don't know how. And the
right.
fact we would like to introduce that part first and then gradually move on to BlazeMeter.
Got it.
And definitely we're gonna introduce a cost analysis and see what's the benefits
Mhm.
and how good could it be employed, by all the
Right.
teams. Yeah.
A very good analysis if you want to do, if you don't want to run JMeter, is Gatling. So Gatling is not limited by number of threads. The parallel runs are pretty lightweight. JMeter is pretty heavyweight on the threading part, right? And the
Mm.
infrastructure requirement. Gatling is not. Specifically, if it's not uh, the challenge with BlazeMeter, the only challenge that I see in BlazeMeter is if you want to run something that is on your servers, be it Azure or AWS, that is limited by what outside tools can access to it, right? So there are many times which are specifically to the loads that are not UI oriented. If you just want to hit your own HTTP servers or your own backend servers, right? There, BlazeMeter doesn't, I won't say doesn't perform, but limited by how much it can penetrate into the zone of where it is restricted by the cloud wall itself, right? Uh, so what I feel is BlazeMeter is a very good tool in terms of platform if you want to test on the website, on the other fronts. I don't think API tests or performance tests are hard to do. They are the UI tests are the hardest to do on the performance side. API and data test, you can spin your own open source platforms and integration with it, right? So Gatling, like one tool that has a built-in integration for performance as well as integrations with other uh, uh, tool sets like App Dynamics, Grafana, right? All those that provide you a performance benchmark, right? In terms of what you want to show as a report.
Is the Gatling the same one? Is it the one provided by Python? No. Is it?
You can use different languages in Gatling,
Okay.
but uh, it's uh, open source at this point, right? Only the managed. So there are companies that do managed Gatling, similar to BlazeMeter, that will cost you. But then let's see. So it's mainly Scala based, but then it has plugins to spin up uh, other language as well that you can convert, right? Now with Scala, it's pretty fast. You can create distributed test, right? So it's on top of Java again, but then Scala allows you to do threading more efficiently.
Okay, I'm sorry. I think I got mixed up because the one I was thinking of from Python is Locust.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah, yeah. So Locust is good as well. Locust so allows you to. So JMeter doesn't have a server, right? A
that's right.
Locust runs as a server, right? Uh, so it's similar to BlazeMeter, uh, But Locust, what allows you to do is, so it allows you to run it in your own environment, right? So again, the problem with that is again the infrastructure, but from the UI side, even Locust will perform the same as JMeter. It won't be much different. But if you are moving into API testing and other testing, where Python does make a difference in terms of data frames and other things on how you sort out things, uh, the Locust does help you. But then if you are only thinking from the UI performance testing perspective, Locust is not as good. Taurus is one example as well, which is an again uh, orchestrates the UI part, which is being used by BlazeMeter, right? So BlazeMeter, the main functionality of BlazeMeter is not to provide open source platforms, but to integrate those open source platforms into its own platform so that you get better reporting, right? And you don't worry about the infrastructure requirements, which is a
Hmm.
big win in terms of when you run any performances, the first thing you will realize is where are my load servers, right? uh, on what servers I'm running these tests to put load on the application, right? Because let's say you are doing, so we were doing about, let's say, 5,000 hits per second. How do you make sure that our infrastructure is big enough to handle 5,000 hits per second, right?
Right.
Uh,
Yeah.
and that's not an easy thing to do. That is the main part of performance test, is to set up the infrastructure, integrate in the pipeline, right? And because you don't run it on a frequent basis, the infrastructure that you spin up has to be a transient infrastructure that should spin up before the test run and shut down after the test is finished, right?
That's right. Yeah.
So BlazeMeter takes away all those infrastructure requirements. But then if you look here, JMeter, Taurus, Gatling also should be here. I'm pretty sure, right? So it integrates all those open source platforms within it. Uh, so the only thing it won't be able to do is monitor your server, the application servers, right?
That's
Which is a big part of performance test. So it won't do that for you.
yeah. That's right.
So So all that still has to be custom created, but then it takes away a big part of the pain that you have, especially someone who doesn't know how to run performances. So even your developers can run performance tests right now with BlazeMeter, right? So it's easier to get that understanding from, if let's say your business owners want that uh, every release we want to see a result of what the performance was, and if it is integrated in the pipeline. So all these tasks BlazeMeter will be able to do for you. But then when you go deep into the performance metrics and benchmarks and actual monitoring of servers, that part you still have to manage on your own.
Yep. That's right. Yep. True.
Okay.
Awesome.
Uh, Coming back to the performance part of how BlazeMeter works. So last time we created some functional test. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna open one test, and I'm gonna go to script mode. Okay, so this is a Taurus test. Type is Taurus. And it will have, so you write your orchestrate your test like this, right? Your execution, what scenario is this, how many iterations you need, right? And then again, is the functionality that these are the locators, and you do what you click on it and stuff like that. Once you have that, I am going to download the script. And then I'm going to use this same script in the performance. So I'm going to create a test. I'm going to create a performance test. And I'm going to, so let me go back. So when I'm creating a test, it will ask me either I'm going to create a Taurus YAML Selenium script with BlazeMeter extension, or I'm going to create a performance. And then we have different functionalities available here, the ramp up times. So this is what your JMeter will also do, right? In terms of the configuration. So what we need to do, either we ramp up time on 1 minute or less than 1 minute or more than 1 minute, right? So it will give you a configuration graph of that I'm hitting user 0 and every minute I'm ramping up and making it to 20 users, right? So this 20 users ramp up will happen within 1 minute. I'm going to use 2 minutes time. And then we'll have a steady load within from 2 minutes to 20 minutes. That's my duration of the test. I'm going to decrease it to 5 minutes. So my ramp up time is 2 minutes. My duration of running the test is 5 minutes. So from 0 to 20 users, I'm going to take 2 minutes to ramp up on this. And then the steady load of 20 users from 2 minutes to, let's say, 4 minutes. And then we have a different, as I said, that this is the infrastructure. It's running on GCP. If you want, you can add multiple locations. So if you, okay, I need to upgrade, but this is what you can do, right? You can hit from different locations. So 10 users, let's say from US East, 10 users from US West, right? So you will have a steady load of different geographies. So you will have some level of confidence there that if you have a global tool, or wherever your clients are, you are catering to all the clients with your location distribution, right? And then you have any mock services that gets attached to it. You want the configuration from there. Any failure criteria you want to add in terms of KPI, if response time percentile, let's say, is less than uh, mm, let's say 90, then it should error out. Do you want to stop the test or just get a notification? It's up to you. I generally just want a notification of it, right? Now, end user experience monitoring, it's still in beta. You have if you want a scenario that you need to add, it will keep recording that from the front end perspective itself, right? So what we will do is, because this is a UI script, it will run on its own servers through UI functionality. What it will happen to do is it will monitor all the browser monitoring as well and get the data out of that browser and display to you that what end user is having in terms of different experiences depending on the load that you're putting. And then you have different integrations, New Relic, App Dynamics, Dynatrace, CloudWatch, DX APM. If you have any APM integration, then you can use it. So if I just select App Dynamics, then either you have it or you don't. The BlazeMeter itself provides some uh, some capabilities in terms of monitoring its own at the client side, but these are mostly related to your server side infrastructure, right? So if your servers are configured with App Dynamics, you can have that integration here to monitor some of the infrastructure stuff as well. but there is no integration with the custom uh, logging or monitoring that you're going to have. You have to use one of these integration points. And then you can do network emulation in terms of how much bandwidth you want to use or provide to a user. And also latency, if you want to delay some latency, it will basically uh, provides you with different configuration of is the user on a cable network, on a 3G network, or either on a Wi-Fi network, right? So I'm going to use Wi-Fi and let it do the, let me do the 5G poor, right? So your application may behave differently when the user load is put if there is some latency, right? So I'm going to upload the script now, which I did. And then And then you have different configurations here, what kind of test this is, if you want to add description, uh, email to whom if for the results, right? And then if you want to add a schedule here that you want to run weekly, monthly, or on a particular cron format. Let's see if anything else is there. You can have multiple scenarios that you can run one at a time uh, or in parallel using if you want to browse another uh, file, it will add the other one here as well. And if you want to run it along with this in a sequence, you can do that. Let me keep it. Let's run the test. Okay, no, don't run only to me, launch servers. So performance test. So this is basically setting up the infrastructure for the test to be run, depending on the size of the test that we have. Now, BlazeMeter comes with a lot of video tutorials and their webinars that showcase what the tool is capable of. But when you want to dig deep dive, you might want to try creating a script on either if it's UI, you can use uh, either Selenium or you can migrate, Nadia, in your case, try migrating your JMeter scripts and run it on BlazeMeter and see if it's working.
Okay.
So you can directly export your scripts in JMX format, right? Or any other format. And then you upload the same way I did the Taurus YAML and upload it here. And it should take all the all the code and the configuration from that script. I'm going to go click on show engines. So I know this is what I'm running. It's ready. I can see the logs on what's happening. And now the test has started. So my average response time is 3.47. 90% response time is 5.26. And then we have the throughput. So you can look from here on the response time.
Does BlazeMeter also provide assertions the same way JMeter do?
Not by default. So BlazeMeter, consider it as just a platform to run your code, right?
Okay.
If you, let's say, you are going to provide assertions, you're not going to provide assertions on the performance side of things. You're going to provide assertions on the functional scripting itself. So if I look here, uh, this is my test. If I have to provide any of uh, the assertions, I will have to add it here. The best way to go about is you create your test, not in BlazeMeter, because if you look here, right, assert dialog, assert eval, right, assert text, right. So the assertions come as part of functional test itself, right. The performance tab has nothing to do with assertions, right. It does assertion based on the metrics that it is providing, right? So you can put an assertion on average response time, right? So if my average response time goes below 3, it should fail, right? Those kind of assertions, but not from the script standpoint or the functional standpoint. I can put an assertion on response codes if I'm doing running HTTP requests, right? That if I'm receiving 400, that means my test should fail, right? So it's more at what you're gonna get from the server side, not from the application side. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah. Thank you.
So then you can have different ways of seeing stuff. If you want to see latency or just want to see uh, response codes, maximum response time, minimum response time. So this information is valuable in terms of reporting on what you want to show it to developers, how your performance is changing, right? So the blue mid line is uh, the average of what I'm looking at, minimum and maximum. So if you look here, all minimum response time and all maximum response time and all latency time. So the big part of performance is how do you analyze your graph, right? And figure out what's causing this, right? You need to make sense of the graph, basically. And then you have different data points which help you analyze your performance, application performance. So this is the network input output lines, your memory consumption, and your CPU. But this is mainly from your load engine, right? So from on which you are running the test, not your application server health, right? Because sometimes your scripts are running slow. You want to figure out, is it the application issue or is it the issue with our own load servers? So response time threshold I put as 90, actual is 3749. So if it goes below 90, it's gonna fail. So that these are the assertions that you can put. Any errors? So there are sometimes 200 and the error is embedded inside 200. So what you can do is then uh, add a response code assertion here, right? Where you can actually define the assertion on the response code details itself. And obviously the logs, if you want to see, you have a system log. This is the actual log. And then you can set this report as a baseline. So next time you run, it will always match the same parameters with the next one and give you a report on how it fared based on your prior runs, right? So if you're setting this as a benchmark, you are saying that I am happy with these numbers. I always want to see those numbers and not reduced, right? Whenever there will be next one, when you see your numbers more than what you are seeing on this or set as benchmark, it will show you as a failure in terms of what parameter failed. All right, I think that's pretty much it from my side on BlazeMeter uh, on the performance tab. Now we are left with mock services and API monitoring. Uh, API monitoring is very similar to how we run performance, but then you need to have your API test uh, imported over here, what kind of test you have. Uh, Mostly you will be using Postman collections, or you will be using your Swagger configuration. So Swagger is a documentation that is automatic when the developers create their APIs microservices or any API. So this is a good format. Postman is one, or you can download from the Chrome browser HAR directly, and then you can run them as either a monitoring service where you test your APIs. Not a very useful feature because then there are very interdependent APIs as well. It's mainly for independent APIs. But if you have multiple microservices running and then you want to test this, it becomes a little challenging. Okay, so mock services, if you want to add any mock services, let me so I can basically create a mock service, create a proxy, and run on top of it. So if there is something that you are using uh, on your own servers and you're not able to connect it to BlazeMeter, you can create a mock service for it. And it will, so this recorder, if I browse anything, it will record all the request and response that is coming in. So next time you run your test, you will have those request response already defined with a mock service. So it captures the request. So whenever you send the request on the same through your test, it will replicate the response that it has seen from recording. Again, so these are not simple, not simple implementations, though they are made available. But then it's highly recommended that you create your own from somewhere else and then just upload it here so that you have a better understanding of what you're setting up. All right, that's pretty much it from my side. Any questions? Anything related to performance you want to talk about or discuss, or the challenges that you're facing?
Looks like no, Sumit. Again,
All right.
yeah, again, you did a great job. Thanks, Kureta, James, Mona, Nadia, and everyone else. Sushil joining this session. I hope you guys learned something. That is the mission of Testoper, to help people to learn for free. We are happy to do that. And we sincerely trust that you have benefited from this program. At least know what it is so that you can have a start and further build on this as you move forward with your career path. So with that, I also wanted to thank Sumit for taking his time to come and provide today's session as well as the previous week's session. I'm sure that you all already are there in the Codathon WhatsApp. If not, Mickey, if you can send the WhatsApp link, you guys can join. We'll keep you posted about the future programs and things like that. Again, if you are not part of Testoper Teams, we use the Testoper Teams for collaboration. You can also send us the request in WhatsApp so we can add you into the Testoper Teams to continue the collaboration and learn together for our own success. So, Mickey, if you want to send those details about the WhatsApp.
Yeah, I'm sending in a second. Give me 1 second.
Just take time to do that for us.
Yeah, just give me 1 second.
Yeah, there is one thing that I kind of forgot. If you can allow me, just give me a second, please. Don't leave. I forgot to put the survey up. Let me do that quickly because it's very important for us. Just give me a second. Second, please. This is the only proof that we have and the happiness that we have that you guys have attended the session. Just allow me to fix this. Meanwhile, you can take that instruction what he has sent here to send us, join the WhatsApp and also in the Teams. Just a minute. Just, okay. That's good. Share. Copy. Okay. Can you please look at the chat? If you don't mind. Kindly look at the chat. You would have this survey form, including Sumit. If you can take some time to quickly fill this up, we would really, really appreciate it. I'm also going to fill this right now, starting from my end. Please spend like 2-3 minutes, fill this up, and then we'll close the program. Thanks a lot. Sumit, as a trainer, you also have to fill, please.
Okay.
Starting to fill. So the reason that we do the survey is we need to report it to Brampton because we are it's a city in Canada, right? Because we do this non-profit activity, so we have to report it to Brampton so they can basically share this with the people to come and benefit from our organization. So it's for the good reason. Please take some time to fill this up. All right, so I have done my, hopefully you guys are also through with it. Let's quickly check. Yeah, so we have received 2 responses so far, 3 responses. Appreciate your help. So we are totally 3, 6, 7, 8 of us. Appreciate Mona, Coretta, Sushil for filling it up. Still four more to go. Now we are 5. That's good. Three more to go. I've also posted the Eventbrite link. So we have one more program coming up starting this Saturday, which is going to be on DevSecOps. If you are interested, please register in the Eventbrite and join us on that program. It's going to be a good session, DevSecOps on the AWS. I've also sent the Eventbrite link for you guys to make a bookmark of that. So far, 5 responses, 3 more. I'm waiting for 3 more. Coretta, are you okay? Mona, Nadia, when you're filling it up, you have any trouble? Are you guys okay?
Yep, I'm fine.
Okay. All right, Nadia is done. That's really good. Coretta and Sushil, Mona, have you guys done it?
I have done it. I have just done it.
Finishing it up now.
Just still not showing up here. Let me check. Yeah, I see Nadia has done it. Mona has done it. I think just Sushil and Coretta we are waiting for. Sushil, Coretta, are you guys okay? You need any help with the survey? Are you doing okay there?
Mm-hmm.
All right. What about you, Sushil? Are you okay? All right. Right, so then I would like to officially close this BlazeMeter for performance testing session. Once again, thank you very much, Shumit, for one more exceptional session. And thank you very much for every one of you for attending. And have a wonderful evening and see you all in our next program. Take care. Bye-bye, guys. Sumit.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much. See you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Yeah, thank you.